mountain itself, the eponymous Fuji, overlooking the circuit. And based on last time out here at the Fuji Speedway, I think we can expect some very, very interesting racing. Certainly a lot of these championship battles are getting closer and closer out there on the points tables, at least. Certainly in Shell Am in particular, it is very close at the top, but some very interesting situations coming into play. I don't think we're going to see many, if any, champions crowned ahead of Okayama this season, such is the competitiveness of this year's Ferrari Challenge Japan. As you can see, the conditions out here are a little bit gloomy, not so hot and sunny here this time out at Fuji, but it is all the same going to be hot stuff on the circuit itself. We're expecting thrills and spills once again from Ferrari Challenge Japan. And let's take a little bit of a look at the circuit, if we could, of course. It has been re-profiled significantly over the years, the Fuji International Speedway. It was, of course, one of the defining high-speed circuits in the world previously. It's now a little bit more technical than it was, particularly the final section of the lap. The long main straight, though, still the defining characteristic of this circuit. A huge run down to the first corner. That's where you'll see the lion's share of overtaking, but you see them go side by side through that complex at turn 3 through 4 and 5, known as 100R. And then you've got that technical final section that I was alluding to previously. Turns 10 through 16 are very twisty, very technical and challenging. That used to be just a high-speed, long right-hand curve in the 80s through to the 1990s. In the modern day, a much different look to Fuji Speedway, but it's a circuit that does appear to suit these Ferrari 296 and 488 Challenge Evo machines. Two generations of Ferrari Challenge car with us on the grid again for this weekend. Speaking of that grid, who's going to be at the front of it? Well, it's a driver that has won a race at both of the most recent rounds 2 and 3 of the season, that being Sota Muto, a 1:38.141, a very impressive time, within a second of what you typically see out of a GT3 car around this circuit. A 1:38.141 for Sota Muto for M Auto Italia, the dealership that he is representing. Tadao Uematsu, his closest competition. He'll line up on the front row of the grid alongside Muto, and Yuga Furatani lines up third. It's a return for Yuga Furatani, who dominated the Japanese Grand Prix Suzuka weekend in 2024 with 2 race victories. Subsequently joined us also in Okayama last year and claimed a further victory there. But great to have Furatani back, and it's going to be interesting to see how he performs for Auto Speciale. On the second row of the grid, he is alongside Nobuhiro Imada, who comes off a race victory here from last time out at Fuji. In the Trofeo Pirelli standings, which, if you're new to Ferrari Challenge Japan racing, that is the fastest category of driver, Tadao Uematsu has been consistent all season long. He's actually yet to be on the top step of the podium this season, but Uematsu leads the way on 63 points. However, Sota Muto, who, lest we forget, wasn't there for the season opener at Suzuka, he's now on 58 points, so he's closing in. He's only 5 back from Tadao Uematsu, despite missing the opportunity to score upwards of 35 points at Suzuka. Very impressive stuff in the 2 rounds that we've seen from Sota Muto. Nobuhiro Imada on 48 points. He sits third in those standings in Trofeo Pirelli. In Pirelli Am, Motohiko Isozaki has one of the biggest leads of anybody in all of the championships. Trofeo Pirelli Am is the kind of second fastest class. It's for drivers who have plenty of experience but wouldn't be considered professionals or perhaps more decorated racing veterans. That's where the Trofeo Pirelli drivers typically come from. It's either young pros or very, very well experienced and accomplished drivers. We see there that the race start time is on for 11:33, a slight delay in the schedule here from some previous sessions. But Trofeo Pirelli Am, therefore, for drivers who maybe haven't quite accomplished so much in terms of overall victories over the years, but are still very quick, very experienced, learning all the while. Motohiko Isozaki is the points leader by 13 points over Coldmax, and it'll be interesting to see how those two are relative to each other this time around. In the Trofeo Pirelli Am's consideration, they are in fact only 4th and 5th on the grid, and that is in part thanks to a driver who is new to Trofeo Pirelli Am, Tsutomu Shimoyama, who's been in Copa Shell for the first 3 rounds of the season. He's actually been bumped up into Trofeo Pirelli Am, so he's been judged to be too quick for Copa Shell. He was on the overall podium twice last time out here at Fuji, so I totally understand the decision. And Tsutomu Shimoyama has arrived in Trofeo Pirelli Am by taking the pole position. He's 5th overall on the grid and the first of the Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers, so keep an eye on Tsutomu Shimoyama. But Isozaki and Coldmax likely to be the protagonists going forward in the points, but 81 for Isozaki, 68 for Coldmax. In the Copa Shell categorization, Ryotaro Saito leads the way on 73 points. However, on 71 is Phil Kim. So those two are very close together as well. That's going to be worth watching, certainly, this weekend. Also worth noting that both Masaru Yaneda and Masafumi Hiwatashi are both very much in the hunt as well. Yaneda is on 65, so only 8 points off the lead. Masafumi Hiwatashi is on 61. Now, as a reminder for anyone who's joining us for the first time, it's 15 points for a victory here in Ferrari Challenge Japan. It then goes down to 12 for second, 10 for third place, 8 for fourth, et al, et al. So you can certainly still, with well over 60 points left to play for, come back from an 8-point deficit at this stage of the season in the 4 races that remain. The Copa Shell Am category I already alluded to just a little bit. And Hiroyuki Katayama on 51 points leads the way in that classification, but he is only 1 point clear of Alex Fox. Alex Fox, the Frenchman, who claimed a win in race 2 at Fuji within Copa Shell Am last time out. We expect him to be well up the standings again on this occasion. Yuliang Chen also a consideration in the standings there. He's on 48 points, so only 3 off. 3 competitors fighting it out, I would say. One driver that may well clinch a title, depending on how he goes this weekend, is Yusuke Yamaki. He's the points leader in the category for Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo cars. 51 points for him, and then his closest adversary is actually Deske, who isn't here this weekend. He swept the weekend with 2 pole positions, 2 wins, 2 fastest laps. Deske did it all last time out. And so Deske second in the standings, but not with us, which means Kane Kim is the closest competitor there on 29. Yamaki may well clinch the title depending on how he does across this weekend. We had a look there at Nobuhiro Imada in that number 4 car from Rossa Scuderia. And of course, I've already alluded to the fact that the drivers here all represent dealerships in Ferrari Challenge Japan. It's much the same setup as we see in the other regional series, including Ferrari Challenge UK, where each driver is representing a dealer partner of Ferrari, and it is the Corner-Shiba dealership that is winning out in Coppa Dealer at the moment. 98 points for them. 98 points for Corner-Shiba, Emoto Italia on 92 and Cornes Osaka on 91. We saw there briefly the golden white car, the number 27, being driven by Yuga Furatani. Again, I think that's going to be someone we have to keep an eye on here. A double winner at Suzuka in 2024, but of course that was in the 488 Challenge Evo before the 296 was introduced into Ferrari Challenge Japan for this year. So Furatani is going through a bit of a learning curve this weekend, coming in from the cold, as it were, and getting his first taste of the 296 Challenge car. He's been very busy this season. He's currently 5th in the Super Formula Light category, which is effectively Formula 3 level single-seaters, if you're unfamiliar with the pyramid. And Super Formula Light, a very competitive category. Furatani still as sharp as ever, and still very good in a GT car as well. We've seen that in Ferrari Challenge Japan. We've seen that as well with his appearances in Super GT's GT300 category. Motohiko Isosaki, the number 55 car, always a commentator's best friend because he's got a very distinctive signature livery that he applies to his racing cars. And Isosaki leading the way in Trofeo Pirelli Am at the moment. That number 55 car will be one to watch. Kanji Agura alongside him here in that number 51 car. Kanji, who was 6th in last year's Trofeo Pirelli Am, has been part of Ferrari Challenge since the year 2022, and he was a winner within Pirelli Am last year in the Japanese Grand Prix weekend, the season opener. My sources in the paddock tell me that he's quite fearless ultimately behind the wheel. He'll push on no matter what. I correct myself, he was 6th in 2023. He was 3rd in last year's standings, Kanji Agura. I think still firmly a possibility, if things fall his way this weekend, that we could be talking about him for an opportunity at the title in Pirelli Am by the season finale at Okayama. There is the 127 car, Ryotaro Saito in at that 127. The runner-up in last year's Coppa Shell Am class has this year been moved up into Coppa Shell. He was initially actually at the start of the year in Shell Am, but he was then bumped up and his points carried over into Coppa Shell. And he has been very strong. There is the 222 car, an example of the 488 Challenge Evo. That is Yusuke Yamaki that we saw there in that 222 car. That is the driver who's currently looking on for a championship bid here in the 488 class. He has previous experience before Ferrari Challenge in Japanese championships such as Super Taikyu, so he's got some experience, but certainly the 488 Challenge Evo, the most powerful car that he has driven in anger and racing conditions. The familiar sight there of the 107 car, Phil Kim, looking to capitalise more so than he did last weekend. Last time out at Fuji, he really didn't have the kind of weekend we'd expect. He DNF'd in race 1. He was 27th overall in race 2 and nowhere near the top, therefore, of the Coppa Shell categorisation. And Phil Kim for Nicole Competizione will be looking to recapture some of that form that we saw at the start of the year. He was 3 times a winner in 3 races within Coppa Shell at the start of the year, but that momentum rather fell by the wayside last time out in Fuji. But he's got a second bite of the cherry, of course. Last time at Fuji, it was quite the special occasion, of course. Ferrari Racing Day is the annual pilgrimage for any Japanese Ferrari owners and enthusiasts, and as always treated to the sights and sounds of the F1 Cliente, the XX programs, the 499P prototypes as well. And that was all in addition to Ferrari Challenge Japan. We're now back, of course, this weekend on the support bill with the GT World Challenge Asia. So quite the mixture of GT cars on display this weekend at Fuji. And in fact, several of our drivers are doubling up this weekend, also driving a GT3 car in that category. So that's interesting because, of course, if you're driving two very different cars, and a couple of drivers are jumping from midship Ferrari 296 Challenge to a front-engine GT3 car elsewhere, must present quite the dynamic challenge across the day to remember which car you're in and when. Certainly in the 296 Challenge car with 700 horsepower from this dehybridized V6, 2.9 litres, you arrive at the corners a lot quicker than you would in a GT3. While we've got quite a lot of downforce these days in Ferrari Challenge, it's still not quite at a GT3 level on that front. But 870 kilos of downforce at 250 kilometers an hour. Of course, this time around as well, for the first time, the Ferrari 296 Challenge car debuting a brake-by-wire system matched to CCMR plus brake discs. That's one of the main bits of feedback that I've had from drivers since the 296 Challenge car has debuted is the brakes are amazing. It's just getting your head around them, learning how to utilize them to the optimum. That's been one of the biggest challenges, to really find your footing and find that last degree of pace here in the Challenge car, the 296. So then, with over 30 cars rolling, we are now on the formation lap here in Ferrari Challenge Japan. We're eagerly looking forward to seeing this race unfold. Expecting an action-packed encounter here. Most of these drivers were with us less than a month ago at the Ferrari Racing Days event, so everybody, with the notable exception, of course, of Yuga Furatani, just about everybody has experience. Sotomuto and Tada Uematsu there on the first row of the grid. Furatani and Nobuhiro Imada, the winner from last time out, on row 2. Then it's Satomo Shimayama on row 3 of the grid. Of course, he is now moving up into Pirelli Am. He's alongside Yasutaka Shirasaki. Kanji Agura and Motohiko Isosaki are next. They're alongside Ryotaro Saito and Norikazu Shibata in 9th and 10th place. Then it's Cold Max in 11th overall. He's got some work to do from there, alongside Phil Kim in 12th. Masafumi Hiwatashi in 13th position. He's alongside Masaru Yaneda on row 7 of the grid. Row 8, our first of the Shell Am drivers, is Alex Fox in 15th alongside Liang Chen Yu. Masaharu Katsumata in 17th alongside Yoshifumi Komatsu. Yasuhito Fukue in 19th alongside Hiroyuki Katayama in 20th place. Hiroyasu Sahara is next in 21st alongside Zed Falcon. Yamato Yamaguchi in 23rd alongside Tetsuo Matsumoto. Shigaki is next on row 13 alongside Kurakawa. Row 14 of the grid, Satoru Kako and Takaoka on row 14. John Leo on the 15th row alongside Hironori Nozaki. And then the 488s towards the rear, Hirota, Hori and Yamaki are 3 competitors in the 488. 17 rows worth of Ferrari Challenge car, 33 cars set to take the start here in Ferrari Challenge Japan. Again, we saw it last year as well, but this year with the debut of the Ferrari 296 Challenge car, we've seen yet another influx of entries in Ferrari Challenge Japan, and that is a fabulous thing to see. We are on our formation lap at the moment. I believe we're only set to do one. We are indeed. We're about to go racing here at Fuji. Here we go then, 2x2 formation in Ferrari Challenge Japan. Look at that line of 296s and 488 Challenge Evos. What a sight they are to see. Sotomuto will lead us down to the first corner. The lights go out now. We're racing in Ferrari Challenge Japan. It looks like a good start from the second row, potentially from Nobuhiro Imada. Tadao Uematsu is going to be on the outside line there for the first corner. He's going to have to be careful to stay in second place. Yuga Furatani having a look to his inside. A couple of drivers straying wide further back, but it looks like just about everybody has gotten through the first few turns unharmed. It is Sotomuto at the front of the field once again, though, in Ferrari Challenge Japan. We've seen that a couple of times already. He would have been a double winner, potentially, at Fuji if it wasn't for a slight infringement, actually at the start of the formation lap, which cost him a drive-through penalty. Sotomuto has been showing fabulous pace, of course. If you're unfamiliar with his story, he comes from the world of esports racing, is becoming ever more prolific, though, in Japanese motorsport. Top esports driver, converting that skill set into tarmac and carbon fiber here in Ferrari Challenge Japan. Looks to me as though Furatani has dropped down to fourth position. I think that's Imada that has moved past him. We'll take stock as they come across the line of the order, but at the front it's Muto and I believe Uematsu in second. Yes, it is, and Imada is up to third place. Furatani down to fourth, and then Tsutomu Shimayama in fifth place. Shimayama then has held on to the Trofeo Pirelli AM lead in these early stages. Furatani in the slipstream of Imada as they run down to the first turn, infringing upon 300 kilometers an hour towards the end of that long straight, knocking on the door of 180 miles an hour and beyond. 111 off the circuit, Amber 193. Oh, that's a big deal in the championship in Chelam. Liang Chenyu off the circuit and being recovered. Safety car is out, you'll be unsurprised to hear, with vehicles out there on the circuit. But Liang Chenyu being off the circuit, seemingly at the same time as Zed Falcon, and potentially involved with each other there, the 193 and the 111. But Liang Chenyu being off the circuit is quite significant. Third in the Copa Chelam standings, just 3 points off the championship lead coming into today. And now he's off the circuit. His driver coach, Yudai Uchida, still technically speaking the reigning champion from last year's Ferrari Challenge Japan. He's trying to work out what happened along with everybody else. It looked like they were conferring over some onboard footage that we're unfortunately not privy to, but no matter how we got here, the end result for Liang Chenyu is unfortunately a DNF in the first race of the weekend here at Fuji. So then the Ferrari 296 GTB road car, the safety car, will pick up the field. I suspect this should be a fairly brief safety car period, all things considered. Whether we get just one lap under safety car or whether it's two, I'm not sure, but we saw there the 193 already being fairly efficiently dealt with, and the 111 car still had power to the wheels when we last saw it, and as far as I can see, those are the only two cars that have been involved in that incident. So with any luck, we shouldn't have too much of an issue in terms of getting everything cleared up. We have a replay here of the 111 car recovering. You can see there the toe link has had an issue. You can also see a bit of an impact crater on the side of the car. So there's certainly a collision from someone along with the 111 car that unfortunately brought that car to a halt. Safety car conditions then. Let's take the opportunity to look down the order a little bit here and tell you who is where. Sotomuto leads the race overall from Uematsu and Imada. The leader in Pirelli Am, as we've already alluded to, is still Tsutomu Shimayama. The leader in Copa Shell is Phil Kim. He's managed to get himself ahead of Ryotaro Saito in the opening salvo of this race. Meanwhile, Alex Fox leads in Copa Shell Am. He's 15th overall. Incidentally, Phil Kim, the Copa Shell leader, is in 10th overall at this juncture. In the 4.8 Ace class, we've seen a few of the 4.88s actually move up the field past the 2.96s in the early scrum. And it is Motoyuko Hori that leads the way in that 2.13 car at the front of the 4.88 category. I'm yet to see a bulletin to suggest that the safety car will be in this lap, so I think we might have one more lap behind the safety car here before we can get back to green flag action. Of course, last time out here at the Fuji International Speedway, we got something of a reminder of what the 488 Challenge Evo car can do with the highly experienced Deske at the wheel. Was racing well within the overall top 20 on a 38 car grid last time out. Deske, who has long been one of the primary characters, both in regards to competitiveness and indeed personality, over the last 15 years or so in Ferrari Challenge Japan, and indeed its predecessor, the Asia Pacific Series. No Deske this weekend. We understand he's taking delivery of a 296 Challenge car in August. Maybe we'll see him out for the first time in the 296 Challenge for the season finale in Okayama. That's firmly fingers crossed for that scenario. Of course, that season finale taking place relatively early. That gives drivers the opportunity to arrange their affairs and organise their travel for Finale Mondiale in October. The 9th and 10th of August will be our final weekend, our championship deciding weekend in Ferrari Challenge Japan. So we saw Sotomuto at the front of the field, of course. That car, the M-Auto Italia 88, has been extremely competitive all season long. At the beginning of the season, it was Miki Koyama who drove the car at Suzuka, and she dominated the weekend, won both races. And then subsequently, in 4 races, we've seen 2 victories for Sotomuto and what could well have been a 3rd. In race 1 last time out, had things gone slightly more towards his idea of the script. Safety car is coming in this lap. We're about to go racing once again here at Fuji. See there the team personnel watching on, getting ready for this restart. 21 minutes roughly speaking left on the clock. Of course, once the clock hits 0, we then have just one more lap before the end of the race. The cars are rolling and we are underway once again Sotomuto leads the field. Uematsu in second. Imada, Furatani, your top four. And then it's Tsutomu Shimayama at the rear of the field. Or at the rear of the top five, I should say. He's anything but rear of the field, of course, as our Trofeo Pirelli Am leader. He has, however, got himself a nice gap there over Yasutaro Shirasaki. Yasutaro Shirasaki in 6th position there. We just saw the black and white car in the back of shot. He's lost maybe a second or so there off the restart compared to Shimoyama. He's going to have to keep an eye on his mirrors because Kanji Agura, Coldmax and Motohiko Isasaki are all there to potentially challenge for Pirelli Am honours. Among the top four are Trofeo Pirelli drivers with the red numbers and the red numbers on your graphics are fastest drivers. All four of them had a fairly uneventful restart. In Copa Shell, it looks like we've had a switch of positions there. If I'm not mistaken, Phil Kim looked like he may have lost out there. I think Ryotaro Saito is now leading in Copa Shell. Yes, he is. Just going through shot there, we could see that. There's Alex Fox, your leader in Copa Shell Am, so he's still comfortable there. And in fact, he's got a nice big gap to Fukue behind. But it has all changed at the front of Copa Shell Am. So just ahead there of the 139, we have a great battle going on in Copa Shell. 10th, 11th, 12th overall. Kim, Saito, Yoneda. They've all played musical chairs a little bit, and when they come across the line, I believe it'll be confirmed that Ryotaro Saito is leading. In fact, no, Phil Kim is still there, but Saito is right with him. I thought I saw Phil Kim third in the queue, but my eyes must have been deceiving me. There is the 65 car of Tsutomu Shimayama. His first time, of course, running that number on the car, having previously been in Copa Shell. He's taken on a new number as well as a new windshield banner. Nobuhiro Imada, meanwhile, under big pressure here from Furatani for third overall, third in Trofeo Pirelli. Yuga Furatani, we know how quick he can be. Nobuhiro Imada goes defensive. Imada, a wily racer in his own right, but he's going to have to get the elbows out here versus Furatani. We've seen these two go wheel to wheel before in Ferrari Challenge Japan. The inside line beckoning there for Furatani. Imada drifting out wide there, tried to keep in it. Oh, and he really lunges there. I thought he'd have to yield the corner, but no. All the same, Furatani seemingly has third place, but Imada's going to try and get as good of a run as possible here out of the corner, but I think eventually he had to kind of lift out of the throttle at an inopportune moment coming out of the final turn. And if anything, that's brought him closer to Shimayama behind. While all of this is going on, at the front of the field, you see there Sotomuto, 2.5 seconds on the dot, 2.500. Clear of Tadao Uematsu. Furatani now up to third place. I wouldn't bet against him very soon appearing on the rear wing of Tadao Uematsu. I think Furatani will be thinking big picture here. He'll be thinking where he wants to be at the end of the race. At the end of the race, he wants to be challenging Sotomuto. Furatani has come in before as the young professional, as the guest driver looking to make an impact in Ferrari Challenge Japan, and he's done so very successfully. But he's not the only young star on the grid this time. Sotomuto is driving away, and Furatani needs to give chase, but between those two is Tadao Uematsu in second place. Here is your battle in Copa Shell. The 127 of Ryotaro Saito running second in class with Masaru Yoneda on the back of him. Yoneda in that 124 car. Masaru has been quite a decorated driver, of course, was Copa Shell Am runner-up in 2023, fourth in last year's Copa Shell points, and is looking to try and get some more podiums on the board this weekend. Currently giving chase to Saito. Just ahead of them, we see there Motohiko Isozaki, who's fallen behind Phil Kim. Meanwhile, Furatani has arrived to the side of Tadao Uematsu, and he gets it done at the first corner. I thought maybe in a lap or so Furatani would catch up to Tadao Uematsu, but he's made better time than that. Furatani up to second place. Even at the start-finish line, he had a nose ahead. Yuga Furatani with a really solid lap there. On a lap where he did a lot of overtaking and battling, he was only 2/10 slower than Sotomuto at the front of the field. Now that he's in clear air, it'll be interesting to see how his pace is going to compare to Sotomuto at the front. He was a couple of tenths off through Sector 2. We'll see how things unfurl over the next couple of laps. Tsutomu Shimayama, though, looking quite aggressive behind Nobuhiro Imada. Here is Imada. Behind him is Shimoyama, the Pirelli Am leader. Having just been bumped up from Copa Shell to Trofeo Pirelli Am, it seems that Shimoyama wants to make a case for himself to be a Trofeo Pirelli driver, such is his performance at the moment. He's just a few car lengths clear, though, of Yasutaka Shirasaki, less than 2 seconds between the top two in Pirelli Am, but Shimoyama staying in the tow there of our Trofeo Pirelli top four. Here is Phil Kim, our Copa Shell leader, 9th overall, having dispatched Motohiko Isozaki, and he's now seeing fit to battle it out with Cold Max in the number 15 car. Cold Max currently 4th in the Trofeo Pirelli Am classification. He wants to go at least one better to get on the podium. He's a renowned fixture on the podium. Regular Ferrari Challenge Japan viewers will know that Cold Max is always the quickest to get the champagne out of the bottle and spray his colleagues on the podium. But he's currently not going to be standing on that podium at all, so he's got some work to do, but Phil Kim is proving quite the adversary there. Meanwhile, Motohiko Isozaki under pressure here and scrutiny from Ryotaro Saito, who's very brave on the brakes. Yaneda somehow even braver than that, and Isozaki loses 2 places, but Yaneda spins. Masari Yaneda in a spin. He manages to get the car back in the right direction. But that was certainly a brave bit of braking from both Saito and Yaneda, but then Yaneda, I think, just asked a bit too much of the rear tyres coming out of that tight chicane. And for Ryotaro Saito, it's something of a blessing. Motohiko Isozaki had to take evasive action and is now a good couple of seconds behind. Saito, therefore, can just focus forward and try and close in on class leader Phil Kim. We get a look back at it here. Isozaki was really quite early on the brakes versus the other two. Still drifted out wide to kind of avoid everything that was going on. And then you saw there, Yaneda, I think, just spiking the throttle there on turn in to that left-hander. And so easily done, of course, with 700 horsepower, turbocharged under your foot. A lot of torque will come very quickly as Yaneda found out there to his detriment. Masari Yaneda has crossed the line, but he's crossed the line down in 16th position. Has dropped well out of podium consideration in the Copa Shell category, at least for the time being. I believe there we've picked up the leader of the 488s, and that is Motoyuki Hori in 29th position. He's just lost out on the previous lap to a couple of drivers. Looking at his lap time, I think he may have actually made an error on the previous lap. He's just following there the 296 of Hironori Nozaki. But Motoyuki Huri still running in the lead of the 488 class, ahead of Michito Hirota and Yusuke Yamaki. Ten minutes and change left to go here. Again, as a reminder, once that clock ticks down to 0, that means we'll be on the penultimate lap. Meanwhile, car 181 has received a drive-through penalty. That's Norikazu Shibata receiving a drive-through. I don't recall seeing an incident that would have caused him to get that drive-through penalty. But that's what's been handed down, and he'll have to serve that in the next 2 or 3 laps to avoid further scorn from race direction. He's managed to get around Motohiko Isozaki as well. I wonder if Isozaki is nursing something of a problem, because his pace just isn't quite where we'd expect it to be. Down in the 143s, where just about everybody around him is in the low 142s. We know Isozaki can be very quick, but that car doesn't quite seem to be working with him at the moment. Some damage there on the 170 car. Copa AM runner Tetsuo Matsumoto, who's running 10th in class at the moment. He's just ahead of Hiroyuki Katayama there. Some slight damage to the front end will have slightly detrimental effect, I think, to his front aero. And we mentioned Furatani and how he might stack up here to Sota Muto in clear air. Well, it does seem as though the answer is that Muto just slightly has the edge at the front of the field. Furatani 5.3 seconds back, which at this stage, of course, is a very big ask between two very quick drivers to shrink that gap down. But moreover, the gap is actually extending. Sota Muto was just over 2/10 faster on the previous lap at the front of the field, leading with confidence. He drives like someone who's done it all before a million times. And of course, on the sim, in the esports world, he has done at just about every level up to the tippy top. But seeing how he's translating it here to his real life racing is very impressive. He'd never driven anything quite like a Ferrari 296 challenge car before arriving for some pre-event testing at Autopolis in May. But he's taken to it very quickly and found what appears to be the ultimate pace very quickly indeed. He's the only driver out there on the circuit who has lapped under a 1:40 in race conditions, a 1:39.590 early in the race, his fastest lap. And you see him already there in amongst the traffic, picking his way through. Doing a great job with just about every element of Ferrari Challenge racing so far. He's Sota Muto. Furatani, though, was quicker on the previous lap. I think Muto, again, with this lap traffic that he's currently contending with, just dropped some time. A 1:41.0 for Muto, a 1:40.298 for Furatani. Of course, Furatani now has to do exactly the same thing, picking his way through the traffic. But of course, such a huge factor is quite where you pick up the traffic. If you find someone here at the apex of 100R, then that is a very difficult situation. But it looks like Furatani might catch these two dicing on the run down to the chicane, which is actually quite a useful place. Ultimately, we're seeing there Motoyuki Huri and Takeshi Shogaki fighting it out. In fact, no, sorry, that's... Oh, goodness me! That was a little bit hairy there. That was actually Hironori Nozaki there in the 120 car. Oh, and Nobuhiro Imada and Tadao Uematsu. They've collided. They were fighting for third position. Uematsu and Imada. Imada was fourth at the end of the previous lap. He was trying to find his way up another place. Imada and Uematsu meeting at the apex there. Didn't quite clock how damaged Uematsu's car was, but certainly Nobuhiro Imada not looking likely to go any further. That moves Tsutomu Shimayama up into third position overall, the Trofeo Pirelli AM leader. The 125 car in the pits. So Hiroyuki Katayama stationary. There you see Nobuhiro Imada's number 4 car. Covered by local yellows for the time being. Into the pits there has gone, I believe that was Shibata. Yes, that was the 181 car serving its drive-through penalty, of course, that we were notified about earlier on. Limping into the pits comes the 120 car, who was involved in the first of 2 collisions in quick succession down there. Hiroyuki Katayama rejoins the race, as does that 181 car serving its drive-through penalty. Shibata will drop down, I think, outside the overall top 20 as a result of that. Leaders have already gone past that that incident down at the chicane. So I imagine, since race control have let the leaders pass by once already, that we're not going to see a safety car or any delay for Imada's car, which is quite a long way away from the firing line, as it were. So understandable and wise decision there, I'd say, from those upstairs in race direction. There we see Cold Max. We just had a look at him briefly, but meanwhile, Yasutaka Shirasaki there, really challenging Tsutomu Shimayama. There is Shimayama in the 65. This is for the Trofeo Pirelli AM lead, of course, as well as third overall, courtesy of the demise of Uematsu and Imada. Worth noting that Uematsu is still running, however he's running at a largely reduced pace. His last lap was a 2:10, but he was listed going across the line in 15th place. So Uematsu appears to still be circulating, but I think it's with a wounded car. Possibly just looking to try and get some points. Meanwhile, here is your Trofeo Pirelli AM battle then. Shimayama, Shirasaki and Kanji Agura, covered by about 1.2 seconds, the 3 cars. At the front of the field, it will be 3 laps to go this time by. You see there in the very far distance, Sotomuto coming through the heat haze there. Meanwhile, the 108 car under investigation, we saw there for overtaking under safety car. That's a no-no. John Leo under scrutiny for that potential offence. They'll take a look back and see whether it proves to be accurate. Sotomuto, again with now about 2.5 laps remaining. The clock will hit 0 early in the next lap. Since it is 30 minutes plus 1 lap, this race will likely go about 33 minutes in total. Sotomuto on the brakes into this effectively double hairpin. Very difficult traction zone there out of the second apex. You've got to obviously make sure you stay to the left-hand side of the third apex, but you're also going uphill. You're slightly off camber. The camber shifts a little bit underneath you on power there, coming out of that chicane. And then, of course, you've got this technical section where, again, the cambers are ever-changing. A lot of negative camber to contend with through this final sector of the lap. It is quite the challenge here at Fuji. towards the end. As we've alluded to, it used to be a pure high-speed jaunt, this circuit. It's evolved into still, of course, one of the fastest tracks in Japan, courtesy of this incredibly long main straight. But a big technical challenge there too now. Wounded car going a lap down. I say V, there are several on the circuit at this stage. Sotomuto, in amongst the lap traffic, has almost doubled his gap. The gap between himself and Furatani is now 9.9 seconds. I think Furatani has caught some unlucky breaks in regard to traffic. Meanwhile, Satomo Shimayama having to deal with traffic as well, of course, intermittently, but he's got a lot going on in his mirrors with Shirasaki and Yagura behind. You see there the double-waved yellows from this point on in the lap, so Sotomuto having to respect those, and I suspect that might be where Furatani lost some time earlier on. If he was behind a slower car through this sector, wouldn't be allowed to overtake it. A blue flag does not override a yellow. Sotomuto then, penultimate lap of the race. Should be one to go this time by, although we are running a little bit delayed. We'll keep our eye on the gantry just in case the checkered flag is scrambled, but per the book, per the regulations, we should have one more lap of racing here for Sotomuto. Feeling every ounce of the power delivered there by the 700 horsepower dehybridized V6 in the Ferrari 296 challenge car. We saw there Shimayama under huge pressure from Shirasaki and Yagura. We really need to watch that third place overall battle. I believe Kanji Yagura, yes, has gotten past Shirasaki. There was some bodywork being exchanged there as well, as Kanji Yagura dives to the inside for the Trofeo Pirelli Am lead, but he's not going to get the car stopped. It's a drag race between himself and Shirasaki, Shimayama, sorry, and somehow Kanji Yagura has moved up into Pirelli Am lead. I really thought he'd overshot turn one there, but no, he's managed to move fourth into the lead of the Pirelli Am class. Third overall then to Kanji Yagura. Can Shimayama find a way back through? I'm not sure he's going to get an opportunity. What a race this would be for Kanji Yagura. Yagura started down in 7th and is now on course for third overall and a win in class. Meanwhile, for Sotomuto, this has been an exemplary drive, a demonstration almost of quite what he can do. Has driven away from the pack, has dominated again, and will bring yet another P1 trophy to M Auto Italia. It's a third win of the season for Sotomuto. What a drive from the 88 competitor. Yuga Furatani will cross the line in second overall, and he will be followed by our Trofeo Pirelli Am winner, Kanji Yagura. Yagura with a very well-earned victory there. 6/10 clear of Shimayama. And Yasutaka Shirasaki settling for third in class. Phil Kim winning in Copa Shell. I believe our Shell Am winner for a second consecutive race will be Alex Fox in the 139. He will finish ahead of Yasuhito Fukue and Masaharu Katsumata in the Shell Am classification. Our 488 winner has already crossed the line, and it is Motoyuki Huri in the 213 car who has taken the 488 class win. But what a drive at the front from Sotomuto. Dominant at the front. And further back, Kanji Agura fighting tooth and nail there at the end for Pirelli victory. Got a magnificent run down the main straight, had a nose ahead of Shirasaki on the run down to the first corner, and then managed to outbrake Satomo Shimayama for third overall for that class victory. Must laud the performance as well from Phil Kim, who ultimately finished over 15 seconds clear of Ryotaro Saito at the end of the race. We saw those two relatively close early on, but Phil Kim looked like he was very much locked in, as the children say, during that race. Sotomuto, the third time this year, will be a race winner. And with the problems for the championship leader, I do think that Sotomuto will be our new leader in the overall points consideration. Tadao Uematsu, of course, in that collision with Nobuhiro Imada. And I think Sotomuto will be the points leader heading into Sunday here at Fuji Speedway. That is a huge accomplishment for the young Japanese racer. Here are your standings then. Sotomuto winning from Yuga Furatani. Yagura Pirelli winner ahead of Shimayama. Shirasaki, Cold Max. Phil Kim, the Copa Shell leader ahead of Ryotaro Saito. Motoko Isasaki and Masafumi Hiwatashi. Alex Fox, your Copa Shell AM winner in 11th place ahead of Masaru Yaneda. Fukue, Katsumata, Shibata, Sahara, Komatsu, Yamaguchi, Shigaki, and Kako, rounding out your top 20. 21st position, Norio Takaoka, Matsumoto in 22nd, Kurakawa 23rd, Leo in 24th, Huri in 25th, your winner in the 488 ahead of Hirota Uematsu, who did get to the flag in 27th, Yamaki, Katayama, Nozaki, and Imada, taking us down to 31st place, Liang Chen Yu and Zed Falcon at the end. So then, the field of 33 slightly whittled down during the race. A lot of drama out there on the circuit. Tadao Uematsu, with 27th overall, I believe would still be, yes, he would still be third place in Pirelli AM. So he's actually not lost too much in the way of points to Sotomuto. Uematsu will still drop down to second in the points. Sotomuto will claim an extra point for fastest lap. He'll have claimed an extra point this morning for pole position. So Sotomuto will be our championship leader, but Uematsu, I think, will be 2-3 points back going into Sunday. So not much at all in it at the front of the Trofeo Pirelli class in Ferrari Challenge Japan. Motoko Isasaki will retain his lead as well in the Pirelli AM category. Saito will have lost out, I think, to Phil Kim for the lead in Copa Shell standings. And Alex Fox should be our new championship leader in Copa Shell AM. So lots of movement here in the championship in this race. Not the sight that Nobuhiro Imada would want to see today. An unfortunate end to his Saturday. He'll be back swinging, though, on Sunday here in Ferrari Challenge Japan. And we'll see all of the action unfold once again on Sunday here at Fuji Speedway. 3 races to go in the 2025 Ferrari Challenge Japan season.